Alright. Wait, just in case. Alright. I always have to do that just in case because I hate recording and then all of a sudden the mic doesn't work. But you guys can already tell what it is. This is the 5K special. What if Deku is Aizen? If you can't hear from my voice, I'm happy right now, right? Because I was so stumped on how to do this story. But literally, like today, me and my friend Usual, what's it called? I had just all the information flooded into my fucking brain, and then we discussed more. We came up with more shit. And yeah, it's good now. So, the way we're gonna start this off, alright? Deku will have, what's it called? His dad is still Hisashi, his mom is still Inko, all that stuff, you know? But Hisashi is actually a pro hero, and Deku's still going to be quirkless in this one. Also, Inko is, well, I'll just tell you guys. So, Deku, he's heading home from school. He just got bullied by Bakugo. He's been texting his girlfriend, but she hasn't been answering at all, which, Deku is slightly, worried about, but he doesn't want to bother her too much, right? So, he gets home, he sees his dad, he's like, hey, I'm home, All of a sudden, right next to his head, bam, just a beer bottle hits the fucking wall. He's like, shut the hell up, no one asked. That's Deku's dad, Hisashi. Damn quirkless brat. What a waste of my time. He walks into his room. He's like, hey mom, do you want something to eat? She doesn't say anything to him at all. Deku's like, alright. He goes to the kitchen. He opens it up, he looks, he's like, alright, we got some food here. So he pulls out some stuff, he starts cooking. He makes his mother and father dinner. He also makes some for himself. He puts it on the table, and he goes and he sits at the couch because he's not allowed at the table. He's eating. Asashi's like, tastes like, this tastes good, Inko. He's like, this tastes amazing, Inko. You're always a great cook. Inko looks at him with the Inko looks at him happily. He's like, really, thank you, even though she didn't cook it. Deku's thinking in his head, I'm the one who cooked it, but okay, because he doesn't want to talk out. So he finishes his food, he goes back to bed, and he's like, my life sucks. He's like, at least I have, my girlfriend. He checks his phone and he sees that she sent him something, right? His girlfriend, her name is, he looks at the contact, he gets a message from Momo Yaoyorozu. He opens it up and he plays it. She's getting the treatment from this guy with half white, half red hair. He recognizes him, Shoto Todoroki. He goes to what's called Momo's school. Deku and Momo don't go to the same school. They met outside, at elementary, they became friends, and then they started going out in high school. So Deku, he's seeing, Todoroki doing these things to his girlfriend. He has that horrified look. He turns off his phone, puts it down, and starts crying into his pillow. He goes to sleep, and it's basically the start of the anime now, but it's high school because I always meet you at college. Deku, he gets up, he's like, he looks at his phone, he sees the video, but he doesn't play it or anything like that. He's like, so it wasn't a dream. Alright, if you're wondering why would Momo send that to him, it was Todoroki. It wasn't Momo. He basically was trying to show Deku that, Momo was his woman. Momo and Deku never did anything like that. They at most kissed on the cheek, but they never did anything like that. So Deku, he's walking, he heads to school. Then he's sitting down and the teacher's like, so it seems like 2 people have signed up to go to UA. And Deku's sitting down, he's looking down, right? And Bakugo's like, who the hell else signed up to go to UA? Yada yada yada. Deku, he doesn't say anything. Teacher's like, Midoriya did. Bakugo looks at him, he sees that Deku is depressed. So, Bakugo, being the kind person that he is he grabs Deku, he's like, why the hell are you going to UA? Because he's not a kind person at all. But Deku is does it even really matter? what's it called? I probably won't get in. I'm just trying on a false hope, I guess. Bakugo, he's confused, like, why Deku's acting like this. He basically grabs Bakugo's, like, hand, like, gets it off of him. He's like, I'm leaving now. He leaves. Deku's grades are, like, really good because he's really smart, but other than that, they don't really think that he's gonna get in. So Deku, he's walking, and he's underneath the, what's it called? He's underneath the bridge, right? And he gets attacked by the sludge villain. He's like, you know, he's trying to get out, right? And then he's thinking about it while he's doing this. He's like, what's the point? Like, really, what is the point of trying all this? It's not like, you know, anyone will care if I'm gone. My mom ignores me. My dad hates me. My girlfriend cheated on me. Like, you know, my childhood fucking friend became my bully. What's the point? You know? That's what he's thinking in his head. Deku, you know, at that point, he stops struggling, and he's ready to just give in. You know, from the other side of the, from the other side of the underpass, it's All Might, but comes through. He's like, I am here. And, you know, he throws a smash. Villain gets, you know, taken out, and so is Deku knocked out. Deku wakes up. He still does the same shit in canon. He grabs onto All Might's leg, and he's like, can I be a hero without a quirk? Deku, he's like, you know, he's begging, he's hoping to God that All Might says yes. But All Might looks at him straight in the eyes, and he's like, you think you can be a hero without a quirk? That's probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know? He jumps off. He still dropped the sludge villain. Deku, he's walking home. He's on the verge of tears at this point. Then he sees Bakugo getting, you know, attacked by a sludge villain. He's like, I'm quirkless. I can't do anything about this. You know, then he's like, he looks at Bakugo in the eyes. He sees the pure despair in them. Deku's like, but it's better to do something than nothing. So he runs in there just like he did in canon. Everything goes the same as canon, right? But when Deku, you know, when Deku's getting scolded, All Might walks up, right? Deku, he's like, you know, he sees All Might. All Might is not smiling. He is angry. He's like, are you an idiot? You, like, you know, you run into a villain attack blindly, first off. Then you would say, you think that you can do something? You're quirkless. You have no use. Stop trying. You know? Deku's like, but nobody was doing anything. He's like, we had it under control, kid. Alright? Deku, he gets up. At this point, his eyes like dead. He's like, if you had it under control, then why did you just stand there and watch? You know, he walks off. He said in like the coldest voice ever, and All Might got a shiver down his spine. He thinks that Deku might go out and become a villain, but he's like, he's quirkless. Because he thinks All for One is dead. So he's like, he's quirkless. Even if he does become a villain, he's no threat. So after this, you know, Deku gets back on top of the building where All Might was talking with him. And he's standing there and he's like, he's looking down. He's like, I mean, it was either now or later, or even before. Which, you know, Deku's like, hopefully in my next life I can be born with, you know, a happier childhood, or a better quirk. Because, you know, he thought about what Bakugo said. He jumps. He crashes down. You know, so a woman screams, oh my god, you know, call the police, yada yada yada. You know, Deku's sent to the ambulance. He's in the ambulance room, his parents are called, they don't come. Momo's called, she doesn't come. Hell, the only person who really came over there to visit was Mitsuki. And even then, she was still like, you know, I can't stay here because she has work, right? So Deku, he's in critical condition, right? They call up Deku's parents, and they're like, your son is in critical condition. He could go through a surgery that could save him, but we need your permission to do it. And, you know, but like, if he doesn't do this, then he'll just be in a comatose state for like his whole life. And, you know, they're like, how much is the surgery? You know, they tell him a pretty big number. And, you know, they're like, don't go through with it. You know, they just say don't go through with it. Which surprises the doctor. He's like, but your son will never wake up. ever again. Like, he's basically going to be dead. And they're like, yeah, and he's quirkless. You know, doctor, he's like, alrighty then. You know, he just hangs up the phone. He looks at Deku, who's, you know, still knocked out. He's like, I'm sorry for what your life must be like. You know, he walks out. But while this all is happening, Deku, he wakes up in this fucking dark room, right? He's like, where the fuck am I? He's looking around, right? He's like, hello? And, you know, it echoes. Deku's looking around, he's like, so you're, you know, he hears a voice, so you're the one. He turns around, he sees this man sitting in this chair, you know, he has an eye patch over his eye. It's Aizen, not even gonna lie to you. He's sitting there, so he's like, so you're my reincarnation, eh? You know, Deku's confused, he's like, what do you mean your reincarnation? Aizen explains, like, well, like, I'm pretty sure they call it Kato or Kaido. I don't know. The fucking weird shit that Soul Reapers use, right? So basically, he explains that Ichigo, at one point, became way stronger in life, alright? He learned a lot more of, you know, the Soul Reaper, like, techniques and stuff. And he reached, I think it's, I'm gonna say Kato 100, alright? Kaido 100. I think it's Kaido. Yeah, Kaido 100, right? And if you don't know, there's only like Kaido 99. I'm adding in Kaido 100, and it basically negates immortality because Aizen is immortal, and it makes that person go through a reincarnation. So basically, it's like something they'll use for like top tier threats to either maybe in the future raise them to where they'll work with them, or to the point where they'll work with, you know, that person. But the thing is, Aizen's spiritual pressure, the way it's supposed to go usually, is at one point they unlock the person's power and they don't meet that person at all. But since Aizen's spiritual pressure was so fucking immense, his soul was still kind of left in Deku's body as well. Deku does have like Aizen's soul, but like the original, you know what I mean? The original soul of Aizen is still in there. And he explains to Deku that, you know, my name is Aizen. I was, you know, I've lived a long life, and I want to train you. I want to see what you do. Because at this point, Aizen, you know, his goal was to be the strongest, yet to also be normal. And now he can just sit back and relax and just watch the show. So he decides, why not do it? Because, I mean, yeah, sure, he could try to take over Deku, then go back to the Soul Society, which is in a whole other fucking dimension at this point. You know, it's in Ichigo's dimension, which is his world, basically a whole different universe, which he could probably make it there somehow, but he's like, what's the point of going back there? Either way, I'll get stopped again, or I'll be able to beat them, but then what do I do? Like, you know, that's just the mindset at this point. So he just wants to let Deku do it. So he's like, I'll train you here for, you know, the time being, right? So during the 10 months of training, you know, nobody visits Deku because, you know, he's in a permanent coma now. And I'll say that their insurance covers it, and that's why they don't care about the monthly expenses or something. Because if they did, then they would just fucking unplug Deku. No cap. But, but after that, Deku, he's just like, you know, he's in his mindscape. He's been training, and, you know, he knows, like, about, he knows most of, like, Aizen's moves. He doesn't, you know, he hasn't unlocked Bankai. I'll say that he just now unlocked his Shikai release. So, you know, and of course he doesn't have his Bankai, which when he does get his Bankai, I'm not really gonna use it too much. I'm basically gonna use it only for like a power boost. Even then, like, he just has his Shikai release so far, and his and he also what was I gonna say? He has a Shikai release and a lot of the Kaido moves, but I probably won't do them because I didn't feel like memorizing a bunch of Kaido moves. So he's like, alright, well, your whole school thing is about to start, so you better, you know, get up and start going there. He's like, what about my blade, you know? Will they allow me to use it? Just say it's a part of your quirk or something. Or say because you're quirkless, you'll need it more. And he's like, alright. He's like, thank you, Aizen. You know, he leaves his mindscape. Aizen's thinking to himself, this will be interesting, right? And while Deku has been in his mindscape, don't think that he hasn't been thinking of ways to get back at Momo and Todoroki. He's been thinking of a lot of fucking ways to do it. And he also thought about, All Might, because that was his idol at one point. The fact that All Might says that anyone can be a hero, but then contradicts himself by saying Deku isn't worth anything and can't be a hero, means that it's flawed, right? The hero system is flawed because people with weaker quirks or no quirks are looked down upon. People with villainous quirks are treated like villains. He believes that this whole hero society is flawed in that way, so he plans on changing it. He isn't gonna, he's gonna use force, don't get me wrong, but he isn't going to be like the League of Villains where they only use force. He's going to destroy the hero society, in and out, from like the people's perspective and from the hero society like itself. So he's like, how will I get back at Momo and Todoroki though? Which, he's like, it doesn't matter right now. He gets up immediately. The doctor's like, we'll say that his doctor was visiting, and like, he's basically checking up on Deku. He's like, vitals seem the same as usual. Yeah, everything seems alright, Then, like, as that was happening, Deku just opens his eyes, right? Basically, like, the doctor is like, wait, what? Deku is supposed to be, like, paralyzed completely, even if he wakes up. So Deku just takes off his mask, like, the breathing mask that they had for him. And then the doctor's like, what? How the hell are you? And, Deku gets up, he's like, I have an entrance exam to get to. He walks off. Which, they're surprised that, Deku just got up and started walking. And, we'll say that he has, like, a few months before. Not a few months. A month before the entrance exam, right? So basically, the doctor is like, wait, we need to, do tests and stuff like that. He's like, fine, but can I walk around at least? He's like, but like, that defeats the whole purpose. He's like, either that or I can just leave. They're like, all right, we'll just observe you from here. Deku's walking around, right? He's looking around the hospital, yada, yada, yada. Then he's looking at names, because he got to a certain part of the hospital and it shows names, and they're like, are you sure you want to be in this area, yada yada yada. Deku's like, yeah, sure. He sees the name and he's like, alright. He walks in there, and by the way, I'm gonna change something up, but I'll tell you that in a second, right? So he walks in the room. They're like, you can't just walk into the room. He's like, did I ask? He lets out a bit of spiritual pressure, which they back up real quick. They're like, yeah, you do you, man. Alright, you do you. So Deku walks in there, and, this nice woman, she's like, who are you? Deku's like, Izuku Midoriya, but you can just call me, Aizen, because he'll take that name over Deku or Izuku Midoriya. So, she's like, my name's Rei Todoroki. You see what's happening here? Yeah, someone dared me to do it. Someone was like, you can't do it. You can't make a ship with Rei. Yeah, I got you, alright? So basically, he sits down with her. He's like, aren't you Endeavor's wife? She's like, actually, she doesn't say Rei Todoroki. She just says Rei. Deku's like, aren't you Endeavor's wife? She's like, ex-wife. But yes, He's like, huh? What happened there? And what I'm changing up is, in canon, they pulled out bullshit and said that Endeavor visits Rei, which I call bullshit on, alright? Endeavor never showed any signs of caring at all for Rei, so I'm going to say that he doesn't visit Rei, because that makes more sense. So he doesn't visit Rei at all, or anything like that. She's still in the mental hospital. Deku is like, why are you even here? She's like, I'm not mentally stable, is what they've told me. He's like, you seem pretty stable. You're like, cause Deku's a genius. She's like, yeah, sure, but do you have a doctorate in, psychology? Deku's like, yeah, I'm pretty close to getting a doctorate, cause he's that fucking smart. And, she's like, she's laughing a bit, cause he seems like he's, trying to flex his ego a little bit. So he sits down with her. He's like, so, what got you here? I want to understand it. At this point the doctors have left because they've done a few tests. Now they need to run Deku's blood and stuff like that. They did get like, needles and stuff like that and check on him. So now, like, it's just Rei and Deku, and she explains that Endeavor pushed her to the point where, practically insanity. She poured boiling hot water on her son Todoroki's head, on her son Todoroki's face. And Deku's like, to be honest, now that he's grown up, he kind of deserved it. Rei's like, what do you mean? Deku, he's like, your son Todoroki, he isn't quite a sweetheart, She's like, can you explain? Because Todoroki knows about Deku, but he just didn't care. So Deku explains, like, yeah, I had a girlfriend. Her name was Momo Yaoyorozu. She was like, oh, Todoroki's friend. He told me about her. He's like, yeah, and he basically pulls out his phone, because we'll say that his phone didn't break. Androids, I'm just yeah, no, but Deku has that fucking unbreakable fucking phone case, I guess. I don't know, but Deku ain't gonna have no Deku, if Deku had an iPhone, it would have been fucking shattered before he even hit the ground, though. Damn it. We'll say before he fell, he cushioned his iPhone with his body, and it didn't break. Alright? I know that an iPhone, even at that point, would fucking shatter, but god damn it. But he basically pulls out his phone. He's like, look at this. She looks and she sees Todoroki doing something to Momo, and she's like, what? She's like, wait, why do you have that? He's like, well, that's my girlfriend. And she's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, it seems like Todoroki sent this to me after, he banged my girlfriend, to, I don't know, spite me or something. Which, she's surprised because that doesn't sound like her baby boy at all, right? But Deku's like, people change, I guess. So, they talk for a little while longer, and Deku's like, I should probably go do my x-rays. I'll be back probably tomorrow, right? And she's like, okay, it was fun talking to you, and I'm sorry for what my son did. Deku's like, it's fine. If she was willing to cheat, then that means that she wasn't worth it. He walks off. Rei's like, that's a kind, young man. But, inside her head, remember, Deku is the reincarnation of Aizen, and if you don't know, Aizen is one sexy motherfucker, alright? So she's like, god damn, she's like, Jesus Christ, alright? Because Deku is fucking Aizen, alright? And you know how I always say the 14 anaconda, I'm not even gonna spoil that until later, alright? So Deku, he heads back to the fucking, what's it called? He heads back to the doctor's room, and they're like, alright, so you ready to do your x-rays? Deku's like, yeah, sure. They check his x-rays. Deku's body is in perfect fucking condition. They're like, alright, can we check, your body if you have any scars and stuff like that? He takes off his, shirt, right? And now, they're looking at him. Deku is ripped, way more ripped than before. He's like, he's like, so am I done now, or do you need anything else? They're like, yeah, you can leave now, I guess. Do you want us to call your parents? He's like, no, actually, I'm good. Don't call them. She was like, by the way, you had one visitor. He was like, he was confused. He's like, who visited me? It was Mitsuki. And Deku's like, oh, Aunt Mitsuki. She's always so kind. And if you're wondering, no, this is not going to be Deku smashing both Todoroki and fucking Bakugo's mom. It's just Todoroki's mom, right? God damn it. To be honest, I was planning on making the ship Mitsuki for this one at first, but then I saw that comment, probably a week or two ago, and I was like, I have to do it. And if you commented that you wanted the ship to be Rei, alright, I got you. Remember, I told you I got you. You thought I was lying. Nah, I saved it for 5K. That comment was at 3K. But, yeah. So now Deku, he's just Deku, he heads out. He goes to, where would he even go? He doesn't really have a home anymore, so he just goes wandering around. He finds Dagobah Beach. He's like, this place is filthy. So after that, Deku just, Deku immediately just cleans it up, like, pretty fast, honestly. It doesn't even take that long. Because he was, like, carrying, like, pounds upon pounds with, like, fucking one arm. And also, if you're wondering, like, why are you making Deku this strong? He's Aizen, yada, yada, yada. Aizen is not just his fucking Shikai, which some people don't believe. Aizen is OP as shit with or without his Shikai, alright? So, Deku, he basically did that. He did it for fun, like, really, because he doesn't really have anything else to do. And he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go visit Ray. He flash steps there, because why the fuck would he walk normally? He gets there pretty fast, and then, he walks in the room. He's like, hey, I'm free. They said I was free to go, but I felt like chilling over here, She's like, oh. So, they talk a bit more. They enjoy each other's company, and they've been basically, Deku visits every day for the past, like, month. So, after that, like, Deku's like, well, today he woke up extra early, and he was like, hello, Fuyumi, or not Fuyumi, Ray, Ray's like, hello there, Izuku, or Aizen, and Deku's like, I have my entrance exams today for, UA, because you finished high school at 18, alright, so don't call her a fucking cougar, so Deku's like, well, I'll be going now, because he's like, wish me good luck, yada, yada, yada. After that, Deku gets to, UA, and after that, Deku gets to UA. He, doesn't trip because he has no reason to. He doesn't see Momo or Todoroki because they did the, what's it called? They did the recommendations, and, if he did see them, they would have been, like, holding hands or something, but they weren't because he didn't see him. But he gets in there, he sees an intelligence quiz, and he smiles a little bit because, Deku is Aizen, and Aizen is dumb, OP, smart, like, bro, man planned out Ichigo's life, alright? So you gotta be pretty fucking smart to plan out someone's life and for it to go exactly how you planned without you at all being involved in it. Except for, like, at the end, really, not really end, but you know what I mean. So after that, Deku, he's taking the intelligence quiz, right? And he finishes, like, hella fast. He hands the paper over to the guy. He's like, are you sure you're done? He's like, yeah, I'm done, for sure. And, basically, the questions are answered, right? And he corrected some, of course. But, like, Deku was so smart, right? He wrote down questions for Nezu, right? So when Nezu got, the questions, he looked at the questions, he's like, I know that these are actual things, like, legit, like, real mathematical stuff, but I can't get them right, because he doesn't know them. So Deku is far more intelligent than Nezu, alright? Because I haven't seen Nezu plan out someone's fucking life. But, so basically, after that, Deku gets to the, like, area, right? And they're like, you can't have, a sword. He's like, this is a part of my quirk. They're basically, they're like, can you, like, prove it? He's like, alright. He like, brings up his sword. He's like, shatter, kyoka, suigetsu. Right? They see, like, this, like, shatter thing in the air. And they're like, okay, what does that do? And he's like, when you looked at my sword, right? They're like, yeah. And then a mist rolls in. He basically pulls the same bullshit as Aizen, where he tells them that his ability basically distorts people's view with smoke, with not smoke, but, like, mist, and basically makes people, like, attack their allies, right? So he's like, President Mike, because President Mike's right there. Or no, he's like, Midnight, punch me, right? And Midnight's like, why would I do that? He's like, just do it, right? And she goes to punch Deku, right? And then after that, he's like, he basically stops the illusion, and she's punching President Mike in the face. And, she's like, wait, what? Deku's like, that's my ability. And, President Mike's like, ow, fuck. He's like, ah, shit, that hurt. So he's like, so do you believe me now? Or, basically they're like, how do we know that you're not just using your quirk? He's like, watch this, right? So he basically gets another person who wasn't at all standing with them, right? And he's like, I don't know this person at all. Do I know you? And, we'll say it's Ida, and he's like, no, I don't know you at all. Why are you calling me over? He basically makes the illusion happen again. And, he's like, he's basically like, Ida, you. He's like, punch President Mike, And, President Mike's like, why not? Why, he's like, he thinks that it's about to hit midnight, so he's like, yeah, sure, do it. Even though Ida's like, I don't think I should hit a teacher, He's like, yeah, do it, full power, yada, 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 right? So Ida's like, all right, he engines up and he kicks President Mike, and, it actually hits President Mike. He's like, wait, how did it actually hit me? He's like, because he didn't see my blade, so it didn't affect him. It only affects people who, see my blade, yada, yada, yada. Well, he doesn't really explain, like, it only affects people who see my blade. It's like, it only affects people who see my blade in the last day, which is a fucking lie, because Aizen's ability is so overpowered that if you see his blade Shikai release once, then, then you see it fucking forever. And, after that, they're like, oh, okay. He explains that it only works for a day, though. So he's like, alright. So after that, Deku, he's like, he walks into there, right? He walks into the area, and we'll say that would he be in the same area as Bakugo? Do I want to make that happen? Yeah, sure, why not? He's in the same area as Bakugo, and Bakugo's like, what the hell are you doing here, nerd? Yada yada yada. What's it called? Aren't you supposed to be in coma and stuff? Deku's like, yeah, it was a nice nap, but I woke up. And Bakugo's like, you don't just fucking wake up from comas. He's like, have you ever been in one? Bakugo's like, no. He's like, do you want to be in one? And, he said that, like, threateningly. Bakugo's like, no. And he's like, good. And then he walks off towards, towards, like, the front. Ida still stops him, like, are you going to interrupt that girl? Deku's like, no. And can you get off of me? Ida does. And he's like, my apologies, yada, yada, yada. Deku's like, no problem, I guess. And, he walks up. President Mike is like, there's no countdowns, but, like, before he can even finish, Deku just disappears, right? And then Deku, his sword is out, right? His sword is, like, in his, like, sheath. He puts it in, right? He like, completely starts putting it in, right? And there's, like, 1 inch in between. And, President Mike's like, what the hell is he doing? And then he puts it the whole way in. Bam, 30 robots immediately. 30, like, 3-point robots are immediately destroyed. Deku already has 90 points off rip, right? President Mike's like, oh my fucking god, that's awesome. Because, he's a human being. if you're a human being and you see someone legit reappear past a bunch of fucking robots, put his blade in, right? And then all of a sudden fucking just, after that, all of them are destroyed. I don't know what your issue is, and I don't know why you don't have a sense of awesomeness, but that would be fucking awesome. So after that, Deku just immediately, he's like, yeah, no one's gonna reach that many points, especially since he destroyed most of the 3-pointers. So he just, like, starts air walking. So he just starts stepping on the air like it's fucking stairs. He gets on top of a building, and, he chills out. They're like, what the fuck is this guy's quirk? Because, this seems like a lot more than fucking illusions. Or maybe it's just an illusion. And, they don't know. So, after that, Deku, he's chilling out, right? He hears the 0-pointer coming. He hears Uraraka call out for help. He's like, alrighty then. Like, why not? I have nothing better to do. So he gets up. He basically just jumps down, right? And then, like, as the 0-pointer is about to, like, crush Uraraka, he basically, like, puts his finger out and catches that shit. Because why the fuck not? He's like, are you okay? Uraraka's like, yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay? Deku's like, of course I am. He flicks his finger, and then the 0-pointer sent fucking flying, crashes into a few buildings. All Might's watching this. He's like, how the hell did this kid not only wake up from his coma, because All Might was told about that, he saw it on the news, and get superpower? He's thinking, like, all for one type shit, but, it's not all for one. Deku's just reincarnation of Aizen. So after that, it's like, here, yada yada yada. What's it called? That's the end. That's like, basically President Mike's just like, yeah, that's the end of the entrance exams. Hopefully you all got in. If you didn't get in, you should try out for another hero school, yada yada yada. So after that, Deku, he's like, he's like, all right, that was fun. I'll head out now. He flash steps away, right? And All Might was gonna like question him, but he was already gone, right? So after that, immediately, Deku, he gets to like Rei, and he tells her the good news, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I got in. Like, she's like, what makes you so confident? He's like, if you were there, you would understand. She's like, sure, alright, whatever you say, Aizen, yada yada yada. After that, they talk a bit more, and Deku is like, oh, by the way, take this. He gives her a piece of paper, right? And he's like, answer that, test sheet. She's like, why would you want me to do that? He's like, just answer it for me, right? So he gives her like a paperboard, or not a paperboard, a clipboard, right? That's what it was called. And then she just does the quiz. Takes her around like an hour. She's like, that wasn't too hard. He's like, yeah, right? So he gets up, and then he like calls the doctor in, right? The doctor's like, all right, what do you need? He's like, here you go. I have this video of Rei Todoroki, or well, I mean just Rei now. Just, like, I have this video of Rei doing this, psychological test with no help at all from me, and there's audio and everything, all right? And he just hands it to him, right? And Rei's like, wait, that was a psychological test? He's like, yeah. So the doctor checks it out, and he's like, yeah, all of this is clear, no really marks. And, he looks at the video, and there's no cheating. Rei is just purely looking. Even like when she like looked away for a quick second, Deku was like, get back to work, come on. So he's like, yeah, you're free to go, Rei, And he's like, congratulations, you're sane. Deku's like, I'm happy for you, right? So he's like, let's go out to eat as a celebration, since she's sane now. And she's like, she's leaving the hospital. They're like, do you want us to tell Endeavor? Rei thinks about it. She's like, no, I think that'll be fine. So she leaves, right? And Dabi, he hears about, Rei being, well, actually, once she leaves the hospital, it's basically like reported in the news that Endeavor's like ex-wife has been like medically pronounced sane, right? And basically Todoroki, he's like, my mom's out of the mental hospital, and she's like, and basically it explains that with the help of this kind young man, that this woman was able to be helped into being called sane again, yada yada yada. And they show a picture of Aizen Deku, and Todoroki's like, I recognize that guy from somewhere, because Deku looks way different. Momo also saw it on the news. She's happy for Todoroki. But that's not gonna last too long. But so after that, Deku, he goes out, he eats with Fuyumi, and they have a nice night. And Deku's like, I'm really happy that you got to be sane and stuff like that. He's like, I bought an apartment. If you need a place to stay, it's like 3 rooms, because he has a job. We'll say he's a cook, right? He's a cook. So she's like, wait, you already have like an apartment of your own, like 3 rooms? Deku's like, yeah, sure, it's easy, come on. She comes over, and it's a nice ass apartment, because he's a nice ass chef. So she's like, wow, this is a very nice place. He's like, yeah, your room will be over here, and my room will be over here. I'll see you later. He goes to his room. He goes to chill out. Rei's like, okay. She goes into her room. She starts setting it up and how she wants it. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this off. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I'm happy that I was able to finally figure out how to do this story and the ship and everything. If you guys like it, please do hit that like. And, maybe, subscribe. Don't get me to 7K within November, though. Please. But other than that, yeah. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Bye-bye.